Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on team drivers. This is Leah Sam. I'm an onboarding project manager here at Keep Trucking. I want to thank you all for attending today. We're going to give just one more minute in order to allow more people to join. So for now, sit tight. Please keep in mind, this webinar will be available for you to watch after in case you miss any part or want to share with anyone else. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. Today we will go over adding a co-driver or team driver in the Keep Truckin' app and the Keep Truckin' dashboard. We'll go over the procedure for keeping compliant logs for drivers, and then we'll go over the reassigning driving events capabilities. So first, I will go ahead and show you the Keep Truckin' app. So in order to add a co-driver in the app, a driver will go into today's log, and the co-driver section is part of the log form. And then they'll scroll down to the bottom to where it says Other Co-drivers. When they click into here, they'll be able to add the name of their team driver. So it will pre-populate with other drivers that are in your fleet. I went ahead and added Chelsea as my co-driver for today and hit save. And then you'll notice that it's automatically input here, and you'll be able to reassign driving events between co-drivers for ELD mode. Now for fleet managers or fleet admin, what you'll do is go into your Keep Truckin' dashboard using your login credentials. And let's go ahead and add a co-driver for Nathan Farron. So keep in mind, you're not able to edit same-day logs, so you'll only be able to do this for past logs. So we go into Nathan Farron's log for April 5th, and we'll hit Edit Log in the top left corner. Again, this is part of the log form. You'll go ahead to co-drivers, and we'll go ahead and assign John Connor as his co-driver for the day and hit save. This will send a pending approval for the driver to accept. And once they do, their co-driver will be added onto their log. Okay. Now that we've added the co-driver into the log form, let's talk about the actual procedure in order to actually use this feature. So first we're going to go over two drivers who each have their own separate mobile device. So the instructions prior to driving, driver A will pair with the ELD via Bluetooth, and driver B will change their duty status to on duty or sleeper berth in their app. Driver A will go ahead and complete their driving events for that day and then update their duty status to either on duty or sleeper berth and then leave the vehicle. So this is in the same place where a driver connects to a vehicle via Bluetooth. Driver A will need to leave the vehicle. After that, driver B will go ahead and pair with the ELD via Bluetooth and do his driving events for that day. Now, a lot of the times, drivers are sharing their tablets or mobile phones within the truck. So this is now the instructions for 2 drivers who share one mobile device. So instructions prior to driving. Driver B, keep in mind driver B would be the second person driving. Driver A is the first person driving. Driver B will log into the Keep Truckin' app and change the duty status to on duty or sleeper berth. And then driver B will log out of the Keep Truckin' app. After that, driver A will go ahead with that same device and log into the Keep Truckin' app, but with their own credentials, and then pair with the ELD via Bluetooth per usual. Now, driver A finished up all the driving for the day, so now it's time for driver B to go ahead and connect to the ELD to record their hours. So, driver A updates the duty status and leaves the vehicle. Driver A logs out of the Keep Truckin' app. And then the second driver will go ahead and log in with their own Keep Truckin' credentials. And then driver B will pair with the ELD via Bluetooth and complete their driving for the day. So hopefully that gives a bit of a clear idea so people understand how team driving works with the Keep Truckin' app. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat in the top right corner of the page, and I will get to those at the end. One last thing I wanted to point out is keep in mind and take a look if you are in ELD mode versus Ovr D mode. So with ELD mode, you're only able to reassign driving events between co-drivers. Ovr D mode, you can reassign it within anyone in your fleet. So just keep in mind that you'll need to add this co-driver into the log form in order for you to reassign in ELD mode. Okay. We're going to go ahead and hop into the Q&A. If you have any questions, please put them in the top right corner in the chat box. Okay. Is it better to use one device or 2 devices for team drivers? That is sort of a fleet-wide decision or a company decision. You can decide what works the best for your fleet. I've noticed that a lot of fleets, they do have one tablet that stays in the truck. So these 2 drivers will switch between this one device. So that's what I see a bunch of. But if drivers both want to use their own cell phones, that works fine as well. Okay. Is sleeper berth on or off duty? Sleeper berth is strictly off duty. So during that time, that will count towards the 10 hours off duty that drivers need in order to start driving again. Can one driver pair with Bluetooth and one USB direct connect? Well, the drivers themselves, there's only sort of one way that you would pair. If I would suggest just using Bluetooth, we're not really seeing very many Bluetooth connectivity issues nowadays. So I would suggest just connecting via Bluetooth. And if you do have any issues, go ahead and call the support line and they'll make sure to diagnose for you. I see a suggestion for how to use the split sleeper berth on Keep Truckin'. I'll go ahead and write that one down. As everyone knows, we do driver webinars every 2 weeks and fleet manager webinars every 2 weeks. So we love hearing feedback about what else you guys want to listen to and learn about. Okay. The DOT might be switching us to 17-hour rule and letting us choose our break. How will the ELD adjust? Basically, our ELDs, they have all of the FMCSA's laws basically within the system. So as soon as the DOT comes out with any other ruling that is mandated under the ELD mandate, then Keep Truckin' will build that into the system and adjust what we need to do in order to keep you compliant. Our biggest goal is to just keep drivers compliant on the road, making sure no one's getting violations or put out of service. So if it is part of the mandate, we will definitely build it in. So if driver A goes on duty or sleeper while driver B is driving, will this count towards his 14-hour rule or go towards his 10-hour break? So if he's using sleeper berth, that is going towards their off-duty 10-hour break. If you're on duty, that's always considered on-duty time, so it counts towards the 14 hours that drivers have on duty in a day. So I would say that a lot of team drivers, they are team drivers, so one person can be in sleeper berth while the other person is driving. So I would suggest sort of using it that way and definitely using the off-duty sleeper berth time for driver B when driver A is driving. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any more questions for today. Again, I think we go over this many times. Oh, looks like we have one more. Can we switch the language from English to Spanish on the app? As of right now, it is only available in English, but we are hoping to build it out in French and Spanish, so stay tuned for that in the future. Confusion. Oh, another question. There's a lot of confusion for drivers over when to use personal conveyance and not. So this is one that we have gone back and forth with, and I think the DOT even right now is in the midst of changing the laws. As it stands right now, the trailer is not supposed to have anything in it, so empty trailer. It's not supposed to benefit the motor carrier at all. And it's supposed to be going to a personal location, as in a motel, a truck stop, getting food, that sort of thing. So that's really only the restrictions the FMCSA gives of right now. There's no mileage or time limits, and it's very vague. So we're still waiting for them to come out with the direct ruling. They're thinking of making it so that your trucks can be filled. That way you would be able to, drive a full truck from the truck stop to get your food. So we're still waiting on what the FMCSA is going to come out with soon. So stay tuned. Okay, when using Ovr D mode, is the breakdown of miles required? So basically, in Ovr D mode for drivers roadside, all that's required of them is to show the display to the DOT officers of the past 7 days plus current day, or 14 days plus current day if you're in Canada. So With AOBR D mode, they simply will go into DOT inspection mode, hold down that button to lock the screen, and hand the DOT officer their device. They'll look through the logs, see if they can spot any violations. If not, they'll hand them back the device and they're good to go. Okay, how does a driver enter his fuel purchases? So the way a driver is able to do this is actually sending a picture in the document section of their app. So it doesn't automatically pull the information from their phone device to your dashboard. There's going to be a little bit of manual entry. However, the way that you'll see it in your dashboard is when they upload it into documents. Is he allowed to go in sleeper berth and still be seated on the passenger seat? I had a driver that mentioned to me that he is allowed only 2 hours on duty on passenger seat while driver B is driving. So if the ruling is that they're only allowed 2 hours, then they should follow that ruling. Basically, Keep Truckin' wants to give drivers the flexibility to use the system how they used to do their paper logs. So they should follow all of the same rules. We just have the laws built into the system to let them know when they may be violating it. So if they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, a red violation will pop up and let them know, and that way they can go back and fix it. Okay, is well site log time count as on or off duty time? Um, so this is another issue that is sort of up to the fleet and up to the driver. If it's benefiting the motor carrier, then it technically should be considered on duty time. However, sometimes it takes a real long time when you're there. So if you're moving the truck, people will use yard move. So it's really how you and the drivers want to use the system. We just give you the flexibility to do with it as you please. Okay. Still to this day, we're hearing that some ELD providers are allowing editing of drive time. Do you think the DOT will make these non-compliant? So basically, I've realized a lot of people have self-registered with the FMCSA for their ELD solution, and that's not, although it's maybe a cheaper solution, it's not always the best thing. So Keep Truckin' is a very affordable solution, and our main goal is to keep drivers compliant. So as it's part of the mandate that you cannot edit drive time, the ELD captures the start time and the end time, and that should not be editable. The fact that other companies are doing this, it does put them at risk and it puts those drivers at risk. So if a DOT officer were to find that the solution were to be non-compliant, then they could be put out of service, and then that affects the whole company. So overall, Keep Truckin' just is a great solution for you guys. I know sometimes drivers get upset, but overall, the main goal is to keep them compliant and keep them working. Okay, can the co-driver start their log after driver A finishes his shift when driving in the team? So basically our system, it starts the log as soon as the driver logs into their app with the credentials. So if they logged out yesterday and they have yet to log in today, it won't create the log until they log in, but then it will retroactively collect all the information. So yes, a driver could log in after, but just keep in mind that the Keep Truckin' app freezes when a driver is in driving until they go stationary. So they would have to basically be on two separate devices for this to happen. Why does the cycle not automatically change when a truck enters Canada or the US. So what the system does do is it prompts you to leave a remark, and that's sort of what hints to the driver that they should go in and change their cycle rule. We don't want to make the decision for drivers to change it. So that's why we alert them with, do you want to leave a remark? And then allow them to change their cycle rule after that. So we have another question about IFTA, and we will have another webinar just on IFTA in the future. I would suggest, honestly, taking a look at the IFTA section of our support article. Right here on this PowerPoint slide, you will see support.keeptruckin.com. And if you just type in IFTA, it will give you a bunch of different articles related directly to IFTA, and it'll give you a step-by-step of how to do it. And then if you still have questions, you can go ahead and email or call support, and they can walk you through it as well. Is this Q&A only for team driver operations? I have other questions. No, you can go ahead and ask other questions. We have about 8 more minutes, but I can go over a little bit if needed. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Okay, team drivers need to use 2 separate devices, question mark. No, so they can use one device, and that's what we went through in this webinar. So if you missed any part of it, you can go ahead and rewatch this again, and it goes through the difference between one device or 2 device. So basically, no, though, drivers do not need to use separate devices. They can share one device. So it looks like we have a question about why it kicks you into driving at 5 miles per hour. This is part of the ELD mandate. So if you are in ELD mode, it is required that we start recording your drive time at 5 miles per hour. For you AOBRD users, we will be coming out with the threshold. We don't have an exact release date, but stay tuned for it to come out sometime soon. Can we do changes from iPhones or computers? So for fleet admin or managers, you're able to do edits in basically a computer only is what we suggest. However, if you want to use your iPhone, you would have to open Keep Truckin' in the web browser. So there's no edits you can do in a fleet manager app. We're hoping to come out with one in the future. But you can make edits with basically logging into the Keep Truckin' dashboard in a browser on your phone. Okay. When I'm in sleeper berth for 6 hours and I need to move, how do I? This is difficult to sort of explain how an exact answer. With the system, if you go over 5 miles per hour, it will record you as driving. So I would suggest trying not to move. If you really need to, I would just, move and label it maybe as personal conveyance or something of the sort, and just annotate forced to move my truck. That way when a DOT officer is to pull you over, they'll be able to see that you annotated it, it wasn't your fault, and they won't hold it against you. Okay, we just recently switched to Keep Truckin'. Do we log the accurate location, not 43 miles south of such and such? So that's actually another part of the actual ELD mandate, the way that we're required by the FMCSA to record the locations is in this manner. So it's from a population of, it's either 5,000 or 10,000 people or more, we have to do a direction and mileage away from these bigger cities. So this is a requirement from the ELD mandate. Okay, does this ELD work best separate from iPhone such as tablet? So I think the question is Android or iPhone better with the Keep Truckin' system? We do recommend Android devices over iPhone devices. However, they both work great. So the Bluetooth will work as long as you're updated to the most recent Keep Truckin' app, and as long as you're updating your cell phones as well to the most recent version. They both work great. But overall, if you wanted to make a decision for your whole fleet, I would suggest going with Android devices. Okay, can we change from ELD to Ovr D mode? So Keep Truckin' allows you the flexibility to choose how you want to do it. So what the mandate says is that you're supposed to be in ELD mode if you installed it after December 18th, 2017. So if you want to be safe and you just purchase your units, you should stay in ELD mode. However, in your dashboard, you're able to go to admin and then company, and you'll see compliance settings. And that's where you're able to choose if you want to run as ELD or AOBRD mode. And then we have a suggestion for some IFTA fixes. So keep in mind our engineers are hard at work at doing some IFTA fixes now. We're constantly working to improve this feature. So I'll definitely write that down and we will keep you updated with any IFTA fixes that we have. Okay, we have a question about a little more explanation on personal conveyance. So, I mean, my suggestion would be honestly just going to the FMCSA website and typing in personal conveyance to see exactly what they say. Their rulings basically are very vague. They just say that it cannot benefit the motor carrier. The truck is supposed to be empty, and it's supposed to be going to a motel, truck stop, or somewhere to eat. So that's the only guidance that they give us, and that's why the flexibility within the app is so great for drivers. So you can read more on it at the FMCSA website. However, overall, there's not much clarification about what exactly they mean by personal conveyance. Okay. Does Keep Truckin' support traffic and weather exceptions? So what we do have in our app is a 16-hour short haul exception. So that basically you can set that as part of the cycle for a driver's profile. What we also have is cycle rule other, where a driver would be able to annotate rough weather conditions or traffic conditions on his log and set cycle rule other, meaning he wouldn't show any violations for that day. I know we're currently trying to build into our system the exact one for traffic and adding the 2 hours. So look for release dates on that one. I know we're building it in soon. Why is there no personal conveyance on sleeper berth? So personal conveyance is only allowed on off duty, not sleeper berth, because sleeper berth is supposed to be when drivers are not driving at all. So that's the reason why we don't allow personal conveyance in the sleeper berth. Okay. Sometimes my truck movements are from mechanics or yard security. How do I claim those unidentified events? What I would suggest is creating a mechanic or yard move driver profile and enabling it for ELD mode. And then after you create the logs by logging in once to this profile on a tablet or cell phone, then you'll be able to assign these unidentified driving events from your dashboard to this mechanic account. In the future, you will be able to assign unidentified driving events straight from your dashboard, and that is one of the newest releases that will be coming out very, very soon. Could the server be a problem when the locations do not match, as in the log and the history location? So I think one thing that fleet managers may not realize is that when you're looking at the maps in the dashboard, the drivers tab is not pulling location from the ELD, whereas both of the location history tabs, both under drivers and vehicle, as well as the map of the vehicles, are all ELD pulled locations. So again, the drivers tab, when you're looking at the map of your drivers, that's pulling and updating from the driver's cell phones or tablets. It's not pulling direct from the ELD, whereas all of the location history and the vehicles in the map are calculated by us pulling the latitude and longitude coordinates and giving you the GPS reading. So if you want to be very accurate, look at the vehicles tab and not the drivers tab. Okay, how do we use yard move, and does it count as driving? So yard move, it counts as driving, but not towards drive time. So it's basically on-duty time. So say the driver has 14 hours total to work in the day. They can drive for a total of 11 hours for on-duty time. And then they can use yard move for those other 3 while they're in a yard or fueling or getting the car wash. Those can all be yard moves. So it counts as on-duty time, so towards the 14 hours, but not towards the 11-hour driving limit. Okay, the DOT can connect to the ELD at the time of the inspection. So when you're in Ovr D mode, all that's required roadside is for the driver to display the logs on his screen. So he can lock it by going into DOT inspection mode, holding down the button and entering a 4-digit code. This will lock the screen for the DOT officer to see only what they need. And then he can be on his way. For ELD users, what is part of the system and it's built in is the data output file. So if a DOT officer requires this roadside, they'll just enter in the comment the officer says and send the data output file. Okay, and that's all the time that we have for today. So if we didn't get to your questions, please feel free to visit our support center. That's support.keeptruckin.com. Just type in at the top any question or topic that you have more interest on, and we have tons of support articles to help you out. You can obviously also check out our YouTube channel. We have lots of helpful videos, past webinars, anything that you need to succeed with our system and staying compliant. You can also call our 24/7 support line. The number is 855-434-3564. Again, they're available 24/7 for drivers, for fleet managers. They can answer any question that you need. You can also email our support at support@keeptruckin.com. They get back to 98% of people within 20 minutes. So if emailing works better for you, you can definitely email our support team as well. Hopefully this gave you some good information. Thank you so much for attending, and stay compliant.